agencies work and how most when I work with clients is that they will usually 9 times out of 10 pay someone to create the creative content, such as like what we were looking at yesterday in regards to SEO, like the articles. That would be your job, and you can create those articles very easily using the tools such as SEMrush. But to create images and videos, you can use AI because AI is working really well at the moment. But I still believe that AI is not there in terms of the professional quality of someone who knows what they're doing in terms of how to take a photo. So what AI is good at is if you've got existing photos, it's good at editing those. But to actually have the original photo, I think it's very important that you have a designer who's, someone who's highly creative, who can, knows how to take a photo, knows how to run a video. Because I just don't think AI is quite there at the moment where, it looks as good as like a typical, non AI photo or video. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I think for your case as a marketer as well, I can show you what works. So even though I'm not particularly skilled at creating nice images and videos, etc., I know what works. And I think that's more important is that there's formats and the way to present things. We call it hooks as well. A hook is basically at the beginning of, let's say, a video or a piece of creative. It's usually a video. The hook is basically the first 3 seconds, the first 5 seconds. We call it the hook rate. So I'll go into it now. So Meta Ads, it recently made a big update to the platform called the Andromeda. Let me find you a link to that as well so you can watch that in your own time. Andromeda, Meta. There's a guy called Ben Heath. He's from England. He's probably, yeah, his Google stuff's okay. I think it will be good for you because you're a beginner. But his meta stuff is good for like people like me as well. It's really advanced. It was the first channel he worked on. His Google Ads channel has just been launched. It's not been around as long as his Meta channel, but he's a good guy to learn from. He's from England, and the content he puts out on Meta, I would say, is in kind of like the top 1%. He's like the main guy for Meta, so he's established himself as like an authority figure for that. So for Meta, they recently made a big update to the platform called the Andromeda update. You can watch that link there to Ben's channel. But the way I would summarize it is basically Meta has removed the need to focus on targeting and uh, focusing too much on granular. How can I say it? Need to focus on targeting and focusing too much on the non-important stuff. I think that's the best word. Okay, and so the update before, I'll give you kind of a history with Meta. So when I started out on Meta, which was like 10 years ago, you could kind of play the system and you could do some really like technical advanced stuff, and people were kind of trying to hack the system. And so what Meta has done in kind of the last year or so is that they've basically taken that out of the platform. And now what they've said is that the only thing that really matters is the creative that you put into the platform, the images and the videos that you use. That's the main focus now. So with that in mind, all marketers really need to focus on, and all businesses need to focus on in Meta, is creating as much high quality content as possible and making it as diverse and having as much variation as possible as well. So the formats. So formats can mean like images, it can mean videos, But it can also mean as well, like formats. When I talk about formats, it can mean like what kind of content is it. So I'm going to give you some examples, different types of formats for creative. And so you've got, if you're an e-commerce business, recently I worked with a fashion client and she started the business because she had cancer and went on to make a really great business for women. She sold like kind of fashion for women in like maybe 40s to 60s. And so her piece of content that she used was her brand story, so her cancer story, right? And so a lot of people watched that video and decided, oh, I want to buy from this person. And so that was a video piece of content. And we would call that brand story or founder story content. You've seen it before, you've been marketed to before. You will see content where it's discount focused, like buy now, Black Friday sale, 50% off. So you have that, you have discount focus. You have brand origin story. You know, if you think about businesses who maybe are organic and ethical and they talk about this product has been sourced from, I don't know, like let's talk about coffee. This coffee has been sourced from Ethiopia and it's organic, and here are the people that are creating it, and here's how we reduce our emissions, like that kind of brand origin, you know, like the product as well, talking about that. So you get people to buy in from that perspective. You've got a comparison, so comparing to competitors. You can say our product is XYZ percentage better than these companies. So you've got that kind of creative as well. There's lots of different formats, but most formats kind of, yeah, exactly. So yeah, benefits is a big one. Benefits. You can even, I know a lot of people say don't talk about features, but there are certain products where the customer cares about the features, and they're quite technical. They tend to be more advanced customers. They know the product really well. So, for example, if you think about maybe a photographer or a videographer, you know they want to know the features of that piece of camera equipment, and so they do care about the features. So I'll make a note of that as well. And in some cases, creative focused on features. All right. So there's a few extra, but they're the kind of ones that come to mind that I use and focus on. Obviously, now you would say that, where would you put, for example, say the discount focus in the funnel? You know, when we talked about top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, where would you kind of put that? Yeah, I mean, sometimes you put it in the middle, but usually it'd be at the bottom because you want to attract, like, if you think about discount focus, if someone clicks on that ad, you typically want them to buy, like, buy now, for example, Black Friday sale, 50% off. It's going to end in, 24 hours, 48 hours. You would put that at the bottom of the funnel typically. Some people may start off with offering a discount to new customers. I wouldn't recommend that because it will destroy your business. If you get your customers from a discount, then they're always going to ask for a discount, and you're never going to get someone at full price. And eventually you're just going to have to discount. So never do that. So this, yeah. Yeah, at the beginning of the business, what I would focus on is just talking about the benefits of the product, maybe talking about the founder story, if you've got a really good story, talking about the brand origin, like if you've sold your product from a different country and you put hundreds and hundreds of hours in, and talking about that kind of thing to basically build value into the product or service. You're showing people that your product is not just any ordinary product that you put no time and effort in. This product has taken countless hours, countless years, to create. It's something that we've had to source and fly over from multiple countries, all of that kind of thing. If you think about a Rolls Royce compared to, I don't know, a Honda, the reason why Rolls Royce is so much more expensive than a Honda is the time and effort and the materials that have been put into a Rolls Royce. It's not even to do so much with there's a limited number of Rolls Royces, because Rolls Royce can only make X number of Rolls Royces every year. Honda can churn out a lot of Honda cars. That there is an element to that as well, but it's the time and effort that's been put into creating a Rolls Royce. So if you're selling coffee beans, what do you want to sell? Do you want to sell the cheap instant coffee and you just want to sell it for as cheap as possible and undercut everyone else? Or do you want to, let's say, create an organic coffee that has been taken from, again, Ethiopia, and you've now brought it across to America, and the beans have been, I don't know, let's say moisturized and air dried and whatever goes into coffee making, and you can sell that at premium, and you can obviously, with the organic coffee, you can put it in nice packaging and talk about where the packaging's come from. The instant coffee company is just put it in an aluminium tin, slap the label on it, and said, "This is the instant coffee." We all know it's not the best kind of coffee, but this is the price it's at. There's different ways of marketing, and you have to choose which one. But to go back to what kind of creative, if I was the instant coffee company, I'm probably not going to talk about the founder story. I'm probably not going to talk about the brand origin, where the coffee beans come from, because if people knew where the instant coffee come from, they probably don't want to drink it. So what you can talk about if you're an instant coffee company is you can still talk about the benefits, but I would focus more on the pricing, and how cheap it is. And yeah, yeah. So you've also got as well. And so everyone talks about now long form content and short form content. And in my opinion, again, it depends on what kind of business you're in. So I'm just gonna now, most businesses will benefit from short form content, but I want to give you an example of where a business wouldn't really benefit from short form content, and longer form content will work better. And yeah, yeah, I would say in 99% of cases you need both, but I want to give you some examples so you understand why we use short form and why we use long form content. Um, let's say, I'm trying to think of like there's some businesses out there that people have not heard of. Um, okay, we'll start off with SaaS, okay, software as a service, but we're going to do it at an enterprise level. So enterprise level means we're selling B2B, and we're selling software for millions and millions of pounds. Okay, so let me just add something to this short form and long form content because um, okay, so I'm going to give you an example of a business uh, that only cares about long form content. All right, it's rare you're ever going to come across a business that only needs long form content. They're very high value businesses, very high value, typically. And so, with that in mind, I would give you the example of B2B enterprise SaaS. Let's do that. Software as a service. So, Salesforce, um, uh, Dropbox, for example, even though they sell B2C, like they sell to us, like customers, but at their very highest level, they sell to other businesses at an enterprise level. So Salesforce may do business with, I don't know, Walmart, for example, okay? And Walmart is obviously B2B because it's a business. So it's a completely different kind of marketing and sales cycle to then when they sell to me or you. And so with that in mind, B2B enterprise SaaS, the value the value of a B2B enterprise uh, SaaS client can be worth uh, tens or hundreds of millions. Okay, it can be worth a lot of money. And so if you think about this deal, right? Let's say I'm Salesforce, okay, and I sell the sales solution, and I'm trying to get Walmart. And there's going to be maybe one guy, but there's going to be a few decision makers who are interested in using Salesforce. They might be interested in other products as well. But that person at Walmart is going to put up tens, if not hundreds, or hundred of million of dollars to buy this software from Salesforce. And so, do you think that they're going to make a decision off of a reel on Instagram or YouTube, like a 10-second reel? Obviously not. You know, they're not going to see on YouTube Salesforce talking about their software company on a 10-second short clip, you know, on a short form content clip and go, yeah, I'm going to put tens of millions of pounds into that. It just doesn't happen. Okay. So, with that in mind, these people are going to need long form content, right? Because they're putting a lot of money up front. There's a lot of money at stake. And if they get it wrong, it's going to cost their business lots of money and it will cost them their job. And so, with that in mind, these businesses will typically only be interested in long form content. And so, therefore, they need a longer sales cycle and will need to be marketed to from a long form content perspective. For example, they will likely be interested in 2 hour webinars, 1 hour YouTube tutorials, and 100-page brochures. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. An example would be not always B2B. It can still be B2C. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So if we talk about Ben Heath, he's got like an inner circle mentorship. I don't know how much it's worth, but I know it's like a high ticket item. It's probably worth maybe 5, 10,000 pounds. And so those people will likely need some longer content, long form content. You know, they're going to want to see what is going on inside the mentorship. They're going to want to maybe see a brochure, like an ebook, for example. They're going to want to see maybe 30-minute to an hour clips, you know, whether that's webinars or whether that's YouTube tutorials. I mean, they're still going to be watching the short form content that Ben puts out, but they're going to need some extra information. And to have extra information, you can't always just use short form content. So what Ben has done is he's used both. He's used short form and long form. And what that has allowed Ben to do with the short form and long form content is he's able to get customers that maybe spend only $50 with him, and then he's also got customers that might spend $50,000 with him. All right, so there's a big difference in the kind of people that Ben will attract. Now, Ben's marketing funnel, what he will ideally like to do, and Alex Hormozy does this as well, is Alex Hormozy does the books, right? And they're very cheap, they're almost free. And so Alex Hormozy will give you a book and you only have to pay for the shipping. Yeah. So it's very cheap. And we would say that the people who are buying the books, anyone can buy a $5, $10 book. Okay. But what Alex Hormozy, and he says this himself, is he wants at this end, you know, He wants the people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars with him through consulting, is that the people who read the book one day will eventually have a business, and that business might be worth 10 million, 20 million, 100 million. And he's going to want to sell them $100,000 solution, of a mentorship. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so that's why Alex Hormozy as well talks about it. Well, he doesn't talk about, he's also got short form content. He's also got long form content. So if you go on his website, he's put up like 3 hour videos before, and he's put up 3 minute videos. He's put up 30-second videos. So he's also using both. But the example I've used here of B2B enterprise SaaS is basically these people are unlikely gonna just only be interested in short form content. Ben Heath and Alex Hormozy can attract people through short form content only and get them to buy. Not always, but they can get a lot of people to buy because they're selling very cheap products as well. And so a company like Salesforce, who's going after enterprise clients, they're going to need to put up lots of content. They're going to have to take people out for dinner. It's a very long sales cycle. The sales cycle might be 2-3 years. It's going to take a long time. It's not overnight. But then on the other end of the spectrum as well, so you've got the enterprise clients here, and Salesforce also offers me and you, for example, a £20 or $30 a month subscription to Salesforce. And we don't need a 2 hour webinar. We don't need a 100-page brochure to pay for that. We can look at maybe a 20-minute video, or a 3-minute clip, or maybe a 10-page ebook, and we can make a decision to buy that. Me personally, I would know Salesforce enough that I don't even need to watch a 3-minute clip or watch a 10-page ebook. I can know that Salesforce is a good company, and I'll just buy it for 1 month. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I've only lost